Welcome to Drum Corps Central, a podcast for Monday, July 23rd, 2018. I am a 13-year-old drum corps superfan who loves all forms of the marching arts. Thanks for watching the podcast today. There will be an almost daily episode of this podcast recapping the previous night's drum corps scores and looking ahead. As I said, today is Monday, July 23rd, 2018. Last night, only one show, a small open class only show in New York State. Tonight, 3 shows with huge implications, one in Utah, one in Louisiana, and one in Texas to finish out Texas tour. I'll get to that plus more today on Drum Corps Central, a podcast. So that show last night was in Gloversville, New York, called Cavalcade of Champions. 4 open class corps here, no world class corps. On Saturday night in Glens Falls, New York, the Legends were ahead of the Spartans by 6/10. Last night, Spartans turn it around and they go up by 8/10 on the Legends, 69.1 to a 68.3 for the Legends. 7th Regiment goes down in their score a little to a 60.8, and the Raiders up their score by 1.6 with a 51.7 last evening. Now let's take a look at the scoring recap for Cavalcade of Champions last evening. So, something to point out here on the recap that could have a factor in the Spartans' victory over Legends and the Legends' victory over Spartans on Saturday night. Actually, there's 2 factors in terms of what was judged and how it was judged and all that. 2 things. First thing, partial panel both nights. On Saturday night, brass was judged over in the music caption, but last night's percussion was judged. So that could have an impact. That could say maybe the Spartans aren't so strong in brass. Maybe they're strong in percussion. That could also say the Legends, maybe they're very strong in brass and not so strong in percussion. So there are that. The look of what was judged has a huge impact on really what the score was, because when they go to Michigan City, I'm pretty sure it's a full panel. It's a championship show. So you've got the full panel. You've got the 4 general effect judges. You've got the 3 visual judges. And you've got the 4 music judges. When these guys only have 5 judges here, on the other panel, there's like 11. So there's a big difference of how it was judged with this partial panel, so that could have a huge implications going down the road, because maybe the Spartans win last night, but maybe the Legends are ahead by like 5 points. They probably won't be, but maybe they would be with a bigger panel, which we'll start seeing over the next few weeks, because I'm sure DCI will assign bigger panels so these corps get a real feel of what they're really dealing with going into championship week. Anyway, looking at the recap, General Effect 1 to the Spartans, General Effect 2 to the Legends. Overall General Effect, margin in GE1 bigger than GE2. So Spartans get the win in General Effect, a 28.1 to a 27.8. So pretty big gap there, 3/10. Visual, only one thing judged, visual analysis. Spartans win that 13.4 to a 12.9. Music analysis, the Legends, a 14.2 to a 13.9 for Spartans, and then percussion, 3/10 to the Spartans, a 13.7 to 13.4. Overall music goes to the Spartans, a 27 point, actually, it's a tie, 27.6 each. 7th Regiment, all 3s across their line, and Raiders, same deal with them, but all 4s. I think Spartans and Legends will really go back and forth for the rest of the season. We'll also see them start battling with like Louisiana Stars, Guardians, Gold, those corps over the next week. 7th Regiment, they are probably more in like the lower end of that Southwind, River City Rhythm, maybe. I'm just trying to name a few off the top of my head. Raiders, meanwhile, they'll probably be battling for an open class finalist spot with corps like Colt Cadets and Heatwave, which I'll talk about in a minute on the leaderboard. Speaking of the leaderboard, let's take a look at the DCI World Class Leaderboard for July 23rd, 2018. So, all 24 world-class scores listed here. Of course, this has not been updated since Saturday night because no world-class scores had a show last night. You see a huge showdown in Mesquite, Texas tonight. The top 5 cores, Vanguard, Blue Devils, Bluecoats, Crown Cavaliers, all are in the same show. Huge show. I'll break down a little bit more of what to watch for when we get to that Mesquite show in just a little bit. You see other cores being in Lafayette tonight. Top 12 cores, Cadets and Blue Stars both there. I believe it might be the first time, if not the first time, definitely only the second time that the Cadets have been with the Blue Stars and vice versa this season. Who knows how that will play in, because yes, the Blue Stars did go on after the Cadets on Saturday night, but they were very close. So that we could see a big battle starting up with those two tonight. You see other cores in Mesquite and Lafayette tonight. That bubble at the finalists for the finalist spot, Crossman and the Academy, as of San Antonio, where they were all together, Crossman up by 1.125 points. Now let's take a look at the JCI Open Class leaderboards for this morning. So leaderboard on the left, including all cores, regardless if they go to championships or not. We'll probably start looking more at this one on the right, excluding cores that will not be at championships over the next few weeks, because over this next week, those cores, the Battalion Watchmen, the 2 cores that are still left that do not go to championships are still competing. So by the end of this week, probably by the end of Wednesday, we'll be done talking about the left side leaderboard, and I'll probably just show this right side leaderboard, because with those guys not competing anymore, it really doesn't matter. Anyway, just to look basically at both of them, Vanguard Cadets, Blue Devils B, Spartans Legends Gold, top 5. Battalion slide in there at 6th on the left side, Guardians 6th on the championship side. Out of those cores that went last night, of course, Spartans Legends up there about 4 to 5 points behind Vanguard Cadets. 7th Regiment, they're slotted in 9th currently, and Raiders, they're going to need some work because they're all the way down, slotted in 16th currently. They're definitely going to need to start gaining some points over the next few weeks if they want to make a run at Open Class Finals. Now let's take a look at tonight's shows for Monday, July 23rd, 2018. First show of 3 tonight, Sandy, Utah, drums along the Wasatch Battalion, the host here. Here's the lineup. 7:10 Vanguard Cadets, 7:30 the Watchmen, 7:50 will be Impulse, 8:10 Gold, 8:30 the Battalion All Times Mountain Time. We'll be getting scores around 8:50 Mountain Time, which would translate to 10:50 Eastern Time. A few things that I just find odd about this show. One, 20-minute time slots is different, and the fact that the championship favorites are going on first. I find 2 things, and there's no intermission here, just a few odd things. And now that DCI is randomly drawing these shows for the rest of the season that they did, I guess, yesterday, you can go on now and you can see all of the lineups. I'll just bring them to you each day, but you can see all the lineups if you're going to 1 or 2 shows over the next few weeks and you haven't seen the lineup yet. Definitely go check that out because it's posted. A few odd things with it, though. I think the website glitched out a little, so there's some shows without intermissions and stuff, so just kind of odd. This one, though, what to watch for, of course, Vanguard Cadets, they'll probably be clear favorites here. They are. Gold will probably come in second. It's one of the battalion's last-ditch efforts to contend with gold, though, because after tomorrow, the battalion are done. You see Impulse and Watchmen. Impulse, they keep going east. Watchmen, this is either their last show or second to last show tonight in Utah, so they'll be trying to make the most of that. Watchmen and Impulse, without Vessel in the mix now, that will be a big battle for those two. A few notes for Drums Along the Wasatch. It's at Alta High School in Sandy, Utah. It is advertised as Salt Lake City, but I like to be kind of specific, so it's Sandy, Utah is the precise location. Weather for this one looks pretty good, partly sunny at the start of the show to mostly sunny skies as the show finishes up. A pretty short one here, less than 2 hours long, for Drums Along the Wasatch. So, second show tonight, Mesquite, Texas, DCI Mesquite, presented by Pageantry Innovations. Lineup and times listed here, all times Central Time, 7:40 Welcome National Anthem, 7:50 Seattle Cascades, 8:07 Genesis, 8:24 Troopers, 8:41 The Academy, 8:58 Spirit of Atlanta, 9:15 Central Time Phantom Regiment, 9:32 Carolina Crown, 9:49 The Cavaliers, 10:06 Blue Devils, 10:23 Santa Clara Vanguard, 10:40 Bluecoats, 11:05 or somewhere around there Central Time will have scores in. Just going back to what I said with the Sandy show and about that random draw for the rest of the season. So they're grouped into threes based on how they place in San Antonio, just like they were, or just like they would be for Atlanta and then Allentown and prelims. They're grouped into those threes. So top three, I'll just use here, Bluecoats, Vanguard, Blue Devils would be that first three. So they're grouped into three for the rest of their shows for the rest of the season, no matter if they're all three together or not. So let's say the Bluecoats and Vanguard were at the show. They would be randomly drawn. The Blue Devils would not be put in there, though. So if only one of them were at that show, though, they would automatically go on last or second to last, depending if there was a host or not or whatever. So basically the idea of that was to not have last year's scores influencing this year's shows. Because you see the Bluecoats, if this show went off of last year's scores, they had a chance, if the draw worked out not in their favor, of going where Crown is slotted right now. But instead, this year, the Bluecoats are a championship favorite, and they get the pleasure of going on last year. And also, one other thing is Blue Devils, Vanguard, Bluecoats, these final three here, that's also how they will go on in Atlanta on Saturday. You get that random draw, so you got Blue Devils, Vanguard, Bluecoats. What else to watch for here other than those three? Cavaliers versus Crown without the factor of Boston here tonight. Phantom is pretty much by themselves, I think, at this show. Then you've got Spirit and Academy. They'll probably be going head-to-head very tightly. Troopers, it'll be interesting to see how close they can get to them. And Genesis and Seattle Cascades. Genesis, could they continue to try to have a little bit of a gap on Seattle Cascades, or could the Cascades get closer to Genesis than they have been? Just one final thing with the random draw thing. What I was trying to get to there was that they aren't grouped in threes based on the show. So let's say the final core here, take out the final four here. Let's say it was Crown, Phantom, and Spirit. You wouldn't, they wouldn't group Crown, Phantom, and Spirit together. Crown would be in their own group, Phantom would be in their own group, and Spirit would be in their own group. That's kind of what I was trying to get to there. A few notes for DCI Mesquite tonight. The Mesquite Memorial Stadium in Mesquite, Texas. Weather forecast, heat advisory in effect until 7 p.m. That could be why the show kind of starts in on time, that 7:40 start time, and why there's no intermission. I was just trying to think of possibilities. That could be why, because it'll be so hot. Really hot show here, 98 at start time, but that is saying early 7 o'clock hour. It doesn't start until past 7:30, 7:40, so it'll probably be somewhere like 96 by then. 93 at 9, 11 o'clock, 87. That's what it looks like for DCI Mesquite tonight. Then, third and final show tonight, Lafayette, Louisiana, drums across Cajun Field at Louisiana Lafayette. All-time Central Time here, 7 o'clock, welcome National Anthem, 7:08, one open class score, the Louisiana Stars return to action, their home show. 7:35, Music City, 7:51, Pacific Crest, 8:09 Central Time, Colts, 8:26, Crossman, 8:43, Blue Stars, 9 o'clock, Cadets. What to watch for here? How close do the Cadets and Blue Stars come? Can the Blue Stars track them down, or do the Cadets pull away to like an 86 or 87? Crossman, can they try to hold off the Colts tonight? They've been doing a good job at it. Can they just continue opening a gap up with the Colts? Pacific Crest, I think they're kind of standalone. Well, no, not really. Music City's trying to chase down Pacific Crest. Music City really making strides this year. Because when you do a fan-friendly show, if you do a fan-friendly show and you are at the top, like if I'm just going to use Vanguard as an example, not that they ever kind of would, but if they did like a fan-friendly show like Music City has, you're not going to place high. You're going to be like 5th or 6th, especially in this year's shows. But when you have a core like Music City or anybody down near kind of like the semifinalist cutoff or like up in 18th, 17th, 16th, 19th kind of area, like all in there, you can do this because we saw it a few years ago with Jersey Surf. They did this. They placed, I think, 19th, and it's been their best finish in the past few years. So you can do this if you're at the kind of bottom half of world class. If you do this at the top, you're kind of doomed. And then Louisiana Stars, it'll be interesting to see their point margin compared to Music City. Not that they will beat them, but can they come within maybe 5 to 7 points of them, maybe even less? Or Pacific Crest if they come last. A few notes for drums across Cajun Field. Of course, it's at Cajun Field in Lafayette, Louisiana. Weather forecast, shorter show here, 3 hours. Heat advisory in effect until 8 p.m. So if you're watching for scores at home tonight to post or whatever, or you are going to this show, just make sure to be alert and follow any announcements from DCI on social media or other outlets that this show could be pushed back maybe because of that heat being that heat advisory being in effect until 8 when the show starts at 7. So just keep in mind there are storms predicted throughout the day in Lafayette, but of course it's Louisiana. Storms do happen often there. 7 o'clock, 91 degrees, going down to 88, mostly sunny. So I would not be surprised if DCI might push this back, even if it's just like 30 minutes. And then 9 p.m., mostly clear. Lastly today, a few things. Make sure to check out drumcorpscentral.weebly.com for all your latest updates from the DCI and DCA summer tours. Scores, schedules, leaderboards, and more can all be found on my own personal website about all things drum corps, drumcorpscentral.weebly.com. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at drumcorpsgeek and subscribe to my YouTube channel where this podcast and more will be posted, Drum Corps Central. Thank you for watching here today. I'll be back tomorrow with another edition of Drum Corps Central, a podcast, recapping tonight's 3 shows and taking a look ahead to tomorrow night. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching, and good luck to all participating corps and members tonight in Utah, Louisiana, and Texas.